Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we get to show off a new artifact that the museum, I wanted to say acquired, found. One of my favorite things about this job is I've worked here for 6 years. I could work here for dozens more, and I still will not have seen every space on this ship and found everything that's hidden on board. This flag, we are fairly certain, was made on board the ship, and we know that it's from around the year 1990, and we see it in photographs from 1991. We've seen this in photographs for years now, but we always assume that somebody took it home with them. Like, it was a souvenir somebody took when the ship was decommissioned or it went somewhere else, and hoped against hope that one day a former sailor would come back and be like, hey, I want to donate my grandfather's stuff or whatever, and here's the flag in the bottom of a sea bag. No, this was on board the ship and we didn't even know we had it. So, first off, where we found it, how we didn't even know that we had this thing on here, and then we'll talk about how we know what we know about it. So first of all, this was found in just a clear plastic trash bag up in the #1 uptake on main deck. So that is the forwardmost uptake where the exhausts for the smokestack from fire room #1 come up out of. On the main deck level, so it's right outside the office that our maintenance staff currently uses, and that uptake has a maintenance lock on it. I don't have a lock to get into maintenance spaces. And they store a bunch of stuff in there. So again, we've been transitioning maintenance officers on here. We've had some maintenance guys who've been on board for years and had stored a bunch of stuff, and so now we've got a newer maintenance director. He's going through and working his way through the various spaces they have and throwing away a bunch of stuff. Now, this is a museum. You're not allowed to throw anything away until you've talked to the curator, so we can determine, like, hey, is this thing in the trash bag really trash, or is it an artifact from the ship? Is this box of keys trash because they're not usable keys anymore, or are they the ship's original keys? Oh yeah, by the way, found another 20 pounds of keys. We found 2 more boxes of keys in the same uptake with this flag. So we're still trying to sort out what those keys go to. There's nothing with a cool brass tag on them that says nuclear permission to fire like the last batch that we found in the maintenance office. But that's how there are still spaces on the ship I haven't been in, and how there's still things that curatorial doesn't know that we have that are artifacts of the ship. So we go in there and there's a mix of original shipboard things, possibly things that the crew stored in there, possibly things that at some point earlier on in the museum opening up, people gave to the maintenance department, or the maintenance department found and just put somewhere to get it out of the way. And then a mix of other things that the maintenance department uses frequently that they stored in there. So go in, find this, pull it out. Can't find anywhere to lay it out. So we go into the wardroom and unfold it, and holy cow, look at this bright yellow flag. It's made out of nylon, but it's significantly thicker than, say, if you bought a nylon flag online, because it's 2 layers of nylon sewed together, so essentially so that the flag is showing the right thing from both sides. So the wording on the other side is the reverse of what we've got here. So it's a pretty heavy-duty flag for something that would have been bought commercially. And then look at the letters. They're kind of irregular, cartoony. It's not a preset font that's been cut out. This really looks like something that was made on board, and the sewing kind of matches that. And then, of course, it's ship-specific. So maybe it wasn't made on board. Maybe it was made in our home port of Long Beach, or at some point while the ship is deployed overseas, they went to some seamstress and asked them to make it up. But most likely made up on board, probably in the ship's original sail locker. Check out this picture from the 1980s of a sailor on a sewing machine in our sail locker. This space that we're in today is what we currently use as the sail locker, but it was the ship's log office in service. The ship's original sail locker is all the way up forward in an unclimate-controlled part of the ship. down below really low down vertical ladders. So we don't really use that space as such anymore, which is why we had to set up a new sail locker up here, and it's one of the few places where we got a table almost big enough to lay out this flag. This flag is just a hair under 7 feet wide, and it is just a hair over 13 feet long. So again, that's not a particularly standard size. 13 feet 3 inches by 6 feet 10.5 inches. It seems more like they got the fabric in the standard size. You can see a seam down here, and they sewed however they had to get the edges, and then what they ended up with is just what they had. Another interesting feature about this flag is on the side where it's supposed to be attached, it's got the 2 grommets for hanging like a flag from the mast, but along the top of the flag, it has 2 additional grommets, which may have even been added later on. There are no other grommets on this side of the flag or the bottom of the flag, so it's only got grommets along one side and the top. So it was originally made to be a flag, and it seems to have been used as a banner at some point. This is in remarkably good condition. Like, look at how crisp the colors are. There's no tattering along the edges. This is in really good shape. It probably has not been flown significantly while the ship was at sea and going 33 knots, and this thing's just whipping in the wind, shredding. So that also helps us date the flag. The fact that it's in good condition and that we see it in pictures from 1991 tells us it must come from relatively late in the ship's career. The other giveaway is what's written on the bottom. So the flag says Firepower for Freedom, USS New Jersey, BB-62. It's got the bow-on shot of the ship. This is the famous shot every time they're taking crew photos. They would line the officers up here, and then you can see the breakwater here, and the camera would be from right there. So they probably used that as the model as they were designing this. And then across the bottom, it says WETSU. We eat this stuff up. And we see this stenciled in a number of places around the ship. And so we've asked sailors on board, why did you use this repeatedly? It's down in the firearms, it's up in berthing spaces, it's all over the ship. Apparently, this was the slogan or the catchphrase of Captain, later Admiral Ronald Tucker, who was the ship's last commanding officer. He took over from Captain, later Admiral Doug Katz in 1990, and he served on board until the ship was decommissioned in 91. So that pretty conclusively says that this flag was made probably in 1990. She's decommissioned in early 91, so most of 91 the crew would have been doing all the decommissioning work. And then the only time we see this in a picture is at the actual decommissioning ceremony in February of 1991 in Long Beach. So that really well helps us date this artifact. Because this is an artifact of the ship that's in remarkably good condition, and because it would be consumption of the artifact to use it, i.e. to fly it when we're open every day of the week, we likely aren't going to. We may go up and hang it for special occasions, the day she's decommissioned, to recreate the picture, for example. But the flag isn't like the wood deck where we can replace it after it wears away. It's not like the side of the ship where we can repaint it. As this fades, gets stained, gets tattered, it's very difficult to repair. And so we're not going to use it consumptively. We do not currently have any plans to display it because of the size of the thing. We don't have any good places on the ship that are this long and this high where we can hang it up. And of course, talking about consumptively, we don't want everybody walking by to put the oil from their hands on it over the course of years. That'll damage the flag. So we would want it behind plexiglass or in some way roped off where people can't touch it. Well, this was quite a surprising find, and we do not yet have plans for how and where to display it. So like about 90% of the artifacts that the museum possesses, this will live in the collection space until we have come up with an adequate way to display it. And even then, it'll rotate on display for years or so, and then off of display again so that it can go back down below and be preserved and conserved. So, the catchphrase on Battleship New Jersey at the end of her career was, "We eat this stuff up." What's your favorite catchphrase? Let us know in the comment section down below. Keep it PG, this is a family channel. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State and also a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. So really appreciate your support. It gives us the time and the resources to go around the ship and find long lost objects like this. You can also support us by liking, sharing, subscribing so more people find about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.